Well, jumping into our first smart topic, medical marijuana, back in the news this afternoon.
It has been a real talker lately. You know, lawyers for the federal government have now sent letters to the states saying everyone from licensed growers to regulators could end up being charged under federal law.
That's right. More than a dozen states, including Arizona, have passed laws allowing the use of medical marijuana, even though it's not legal under federal law.
And in fact, in our state, about 700 people have already applied for the medical marijuana program since the health department started accepting applications less than 2 weeks ago. Well, a lot of you are sounding off on our Smart Family 15 Facebook page about this, about whether or not you are for or against it. And Maria Chavaria says, I think it's the stupidest thing ever. Candace Clark says, I think they should just legalize it and tax it and make some money and help the economy.
Yes, and Heather Barker says, I am for both. I think people need it. People that need it should have it. A lot of people will try to get it that don't need it. And Socorro Martinez says, I've suffered with migraine headaches for most of my life, and I'm waiting to try it, with exclamation points. Well, join in on the conversation. You know, you can find us at facebook.com/smartfamily15. We're reading your comments, and we want to hear from you. Connie?
All right, thanks, staff. So what does all this mean to you and your family? Joining us now is Kendrick Spiegel, a substance abuse treatment counselor with Compassion First AZ. Kendrick, first of all, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
You know, when you talk about how you present this to your family, because obviously it's still very illegal unless you're using it for medicinal reasons. Where do you even start with something like this? Well,
I think that it's very important to make a clear distinction between recreational use and medicinal use of marijuana. The medicinal use of marijuana provides relief to folks who have debilitating medical conditions. And so, speaking personally, when I speak to my 11-year-old son about medical marijuana, I make it clear that there is a difference between a medication that is recommended by a physician to relieve a debilitating medical condition and the recreational use of marijuana.
When you look at marijuana, the components in there are 200 or so different components. There's not a lot of research that's been done on the effectiveness of this drug. Help people understand, though, some of those things that it has been proven to do.
Sure. You're absolutely right. There is a paucity of science and research supporting medical marijuana. What we do know, given the research that we do have, is that medical marijuana is very effective in relieving symptoms of nausea associated with chemotherapy for cancer treatment. Folks who are HIV positive, folks who are hepatitis C positive. It is an effective analgesic, so it relieves pain effectively. It has a wide array of uses. It's to name a few, it's effective in relieving the symptoms associated with ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease.
Right.
Multiple sclerosis is another disease.
So there are a whole host of them out there that this drug is helping, and yet I think a lot of parents want to know, you know, if you take it and you are out on the streets driving cars, things like that, are you a danger to our kids? Are you a danger to society? Are there parameters on some of that? Help kind of give some background on that.
Sure. Well, specifically to your point about driving and being under the influence of cannabis, Arizona Department of Health Services has made it clear that driving under the influence of cannabis is not acceptable, and so I don't know that we'll see that as being as much of a problem. I think. And
yet you have to say people drink and drive all the time. So
they do.
You know, where do you say, well, I'm actually not being affected by this anymore, and I can get in the car?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think what I would do is I would draw the analogy between the medical use of marijuana and the medical use of opiates. I'm the administrator of a substance abuse treatment system with over 7,000 patients in our system, and many of those folks are dependent on opiates.
Yeah.
And so what we see is that oftentimes there are folks who misuse opiates and become dependent on opiates.
So we're almost out of time. Let me ask you real quick, can you be addicted to marijuana?
You can become physiologically dependent. on cannabis. I think it's very important to make clear that folks who are physiologically dependent on opiates can use it medicinally.
Well, certainly a lot of discussion still taking place, and it will continue as it starts to hit the streets just a little bit more here. Kendrick, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very kindly.
All right. If you'd like more information, we have linked this to our website at abc15.com. Just click on the Lifestyle tab and into Smart Family. Daphne?